Hey everyone, this is Spencer with Blacktop Karts. Today I'm installing a headlight kit, the 10L0L RGB headlight kit on a Yamaha G29. I believe it's a 2013. So going and getting the templates lined out right now. I went ahead and used some blue painter's tape and got it lined up. It actually lines up really easily with this body line right here. So, see, this side has to be flipped over, but basically this side of the paper follows that body line, and then this will follow that arc down there. Lay that out. I like to go ahead and painter's tape it on there and then hit it with a Sharpie, and then we'll drill some holes to get our router started in there and then route it out and install the light. Okay, got them both traced out and went ahead and removed the paper. I'm gonna go ahead now and take a small drill bit and drill some perimeter holes and at least a couple larger holes to get the router bit in there and started, so I can go ahead and cut these out. Okay, so I went ahead and drilled a couple 1/2-inch holes to get the router bit through, kind of up in the corners of the light here. So kind of help round out this corner here so we don't have to be super accurate with the router, and kind of the same thing down here, and we can start and head against the direction of the router. All right, in order to cut this out, we're gonna go ahead and use this brushless DeWalt cordless router with one of these straight bits on it. Got this bit actually to do some drywall stuff, but it works great for this as well. All right, so I got them routed out here. They're not absolutely perfect, but the lights fit fine. There's a little bit of a bezel that goes around it to hide any of these imperfections. So looks pretty good, nice and symmetrical. Go ahead and get the lights screwed in. All right, so I'm drilling some pilot holes and putting screws in here. I'm starting from the middle hole here and working out so it doesn't bind like if you were to drill all of them at once. I'm using a 5/64 drill bit. These are the Hercules, I think they're blue cobalt or titanium bits. I'm really impressed with these. And then just lightly screwing these in here. Okay, both headlights are installed. They look nice and symmetrical. Looks like it snowed in my shop here from all the plastic. So next step, I'm gonna lay out the backlights and cut those in. All right, I've got one of the backside templates on here. I went ahead and lined up this paper edge right with this break in the body line there, and then you can kind of see this bottom piece follows this body line as well. So that's kind of how that should look. I like to take a Sharpie and kind of go over to where the Sharpie contacts the paper and the body of the cart, and so that gives you a nice crisp border line to use your router to cut it out. So I'll go ahead and finish marking this one, mark the other side, and drill some holes. Okay, I've got all the Sharpie marks. You can see how nice and clean those are. Went ahead and drilled 4 holes in each of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the router spun up and get those cut out. Okay, holes are all cut out. Went ahead and ran the wiring harness to the backlight so I can get those plugged in before screwing them in, since you can't reach the back of those like you can in the front quite as easily anyway. So you'll notice this is the longest wire on the harness. It's just got this simple 3-wire with a red plug. That is the rear tail light on the passenger side, and then slightly shorter but also 3-wire and white plug goes to the rear tail light on the driver's side. Okay, the lights are plugged in, they're installed. Went ahead and drilled the holes, put these 2 screws in down here. Did have to drill a hole here through the black. I used a 5/32 bit for that, and then I used a 5/64 bit to pilot hole through the body, and then put a screw in here. This piece was flapping out here. I don't know why there wasn't a pre-drilled hole there, but it fits pretty good. So I'm gonna move on to tying up the wiring harness and getting the brake pedal pad switch installed. Okay, I'm routing the wiring harness up here. Went ahead, tied it in, kind of bridged across over here, coming down here. You'll want to leave this portion of it in the battery tray area. That's your voltage reducer, and that'll connect to your battery. The rest of the harness, I'm going to go down through the floor and tie up underneath. That red and yellow wire right there is going to tie into that brake pad switch. And then the rest of these wires are going to go up through the front. And with this harness, we have the RGB wires, which are these small wires here. Those each plug into a headlight. And then you've got the red plug and white plug go into the headlights as well. The right is going to be the passenger side again, just like in the rear. And then this part of the harness is going to connect up to the part of the harness that runs through the firewall, if you will, up the steering column so you can mount your controls. All right, I went ahead and ran the wire for the steering wheel controls, or the steering column controls, up. I had to cut this cover to length because this piece here was a little bit longer. And so basically I just attached it with these U-clamp things here with these 4 screws and tighten it down. But I did add these little adhesive pads, and that does a pretty good job of keeping this from rotating when you hit the lever. All right, the front harness is all tidied up. I went ahead and plugged in these little RGB wires, and the main harness, I'll zip tie that up later. That is for the hazard switch, which is mounted just right here inside the glove box. And that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and get some batteries installed and get this hooked up to power and show you how it all works. All right, I got the batteries installed and went ahead and wired up this light kit. And on this cart, there are 12-volt batteries, so I went ahead and just wired the 2 terminals into a single 12-volt battery, this one on the end here. When you do that, you do need to bypass the voltage converter. This is what converts it from 48 volt down to 12 volt. Comes with this little jumper. You just unplug this and plug this in, and you're good to go. So now you can see that the headlights turn on, halos, complete light, horn, and then you see turn signals, and you can see that the tail lights work as well. I can go ahead and let's see, left turn signal, yeah, and right turn signal. So that's it. Thanks.